Hi, and welcome to the PPUK podcast. I'm Chopin, and today with me is Paddy.
Hey, Chopin.
Hey, and today is a slightly different one. We're inviting you into a little conversation between me and Paddy. Now, me and Paddy are both guitarists, and a big portion of our experience of Prince has been through the fact that we play instruments and that we listen to Prince's musicality in that way, in a sense, to learn as well as enjoy. I think I'm speaking for you there, Paddy. Is that true? I mean,
To a degree, yeah. I think I suppose the background of this is a bit more of a chat, I guess, than us
mm,
doing an interview or being part of a larger album review or some such. But I think the thing that defines, as you've said, the thing that defines you and me within our sort of so far sort of 5-person group is that we're the two that do play, record, and perform. So consequently, we've always in the background been talking about, let's do one where we can have a chat about the guitar of Prince, Prince's guitar playing, the guitars that he plays, what that means to us, what we think, and sort of just focusing on that and have a really indulgent chat about those kind of things. So this is going to be a little bit more informal, folks. It's just basically Chopin and me banging on about guitars.
essentially, it is you dropping in on a really geeky conversation about guitars. I mean, I have to put in the caveat that Andy actually plays guitar as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
I
oh!
completely forgot.
He might not be happy when he hears this. Oh heck, that's
No,
not
no,
good.
no. But
That's not good.
I don't think he performs or records them. But I think he definitely plays them. So,
Okay. Well, let's start with how did you get into guitar then?
well, for me, it was kind of by accident because I always listened to music from the point of view as dancing. Right? I was always like a kind of like a dancer. Music was a means for me to get to, like to dance, and it was just I was doing the art A level around like 17, 18. And there was a broken guitar on one of the still lifes that we were drawing, and it was like the strings were painted and everything. But there was a friend of mine, Gavin, he was a guitarist, but he was more of the kind of like the metalhead, what have you. But one of the things he learned was the melody to "The Most Beautiful Girl in the World," and the little bit for Prince, the little bit of Purple Rain that goes da 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 da. So he demonstrated those two things. He got the three strings on that broken guitar tuned enough to do that, and I was like, "Oh, show me." So I didn't have a guitar or anything. So every time we went to do that still life, that guitar was in a slightly different place. but but then a guitar found its way into my house from like some random connection. Somebody like their ex-girlfriend was someone that the only connection they knew was us. So they, for some reason, dumped all of her stuff. We hadn't seen her for years, but they dumped all of her stuff at our house. And one of the things was a guitar. Now, this coincided with me watching the Undertaker video,
Ah.
which is that 45-minute Prince film, The Undertaker. And I was just like, I remember watching that and going, I need to be able to do this. I don't know why. I need to be able to play the guitar.
So Prince was pretty much your direct influence to start playing guitar.
Oh, for sure. I mean, like I would.
I didn't actually realize that because he was my direct influence. But I'll let you
Yeah.
finish. Go on. Yeah, yeah. I thought that. I was thinking, oh, I bet it'll be just me that was that Prince specifically was a guitar thing. But nice one, man. I didn't realize.
No, it was like I was drawing pictures of myself with Prince guitars, like in those kind of teenage doodles and those
Awesome.
artists, and when I was dancing, or like I would, like I started off as I've said many times before, as like Madonna into Prince, and what I used to do, and also Michael Jackson, and what I used to do is I used to have a cassette of like a bootleg cassette of their concerts. So on Monday night it would be like Madonna's Blonde Ambition. I'd learn all the choreography and dance on Monday. Tuesday I'd do the Dangerous tour, and Wednesday I would do the. It would have been Diamonds and Pearls. Or no, I didn't have video of that, so it'd be Sign of the Times because it would be taped off the VHS. and I would just have to mime the guitar things because there's no dance move there. Yeah, so I would mime the guitar on the bits that did the guitar. So it was kind of starting to feel natural anyway. And then a guitar made its way into my hand, and then I watched The Undertaker, and I was like, "This is the shit. I have to have."
Wow. I think actually you've outcooled me. I have to admit, you've definitely outcooled me because my my way in was Prince, but my way in was the sort of the perhaps the way in that a lot of people are, particularly hardcore Prince fans, are probably a bit more jaded about. Basically, I think I've said this on previous podcasts, so I'll keep it brief. My old man taped Purple Rain for me when I'd gone out one night off Radio 4. They were doing a season. At the time, I was just kind of fascinated because I remembered the Brit Awards. I'd heard like Doves, and I thought that was really cool. And I was aware of this couple of the singles and what have you. But yeah, so I watched the film, and it was absolutely as simple, and I swear, as simple as watching Let's Go Crazy, seeing that solo at the end, him jumping off a piano, all the brief choreography of that solo and himself, how he looked, how the guitar sounded. The Let's Go Crazy is my favorite song of all time, hands down. And I started playing guitar, and there was a really cheap sort of Telecaster copy that had the same scratch plate by a really manky old make called Hondo. And it was in our local, in Huddersfield, it's in one of the local music shops. And I whinged and whinged and whinged at my mum. And I'm a guy who, packed in O level music. I packed in playing recorder when I was younger. My next door neighbor tried to give me piano lessons, and I packed that in. So obviously, my mum was like, "There's no way you're having a guitar. It's a complete waste of money. No way." So I saved up and saved up. I used to get £1.80 a week, and I probably got up to about 30 or 40 quid. And she's like, "You're serious, aren't you?" And she bought me that guitar, and that was the reason I picked up and played guitar. Now, the honest truth is, I didn't play any Prince stuff from that point. For many,
Oh.
many years, I played the first song I ever learned was Talk Dirty to Me by Poison. And then to learn to actually play guitar, because I'm not an academic musician, I basically learned from tablature books
Oh.
and using using my ear and
Mhm.
tablature books. So like stuff like Poison, Aerosmith, Guns N' Roses, Skid Row, those kind of things. So that was actually how I learned to play. So I discovered pentatonic scales, ended up getting a few more guitars, started a group with my mates. We did like sort of rock covers and stuff like that. I think I sort of sorted out Purple Rain a little bit later on and things like or a version, and then ultimately that culminated into me concentrating rather heavily from about 2005 on Prince specifically because I'm now playing and run Endorphin Machine, which is a UK based Prince tribute. I think people, I get if there's people listening who aren't into that kind of thing, but I'll probably refer to aspects of that because it's directly related to my playing. But again, I do get the sort of negativity vibe about that is quite acceptable. But yeah, so and then I sort of started on this journey of trying to learn more of how Prince played, how his other guitarists played who played with
Mhm.
him, because I'm the only guitarist in the band until more recently. And then yeah, it was terrifying at first, like trying to play funk guitar and work out what was going on as opposed to just doing a Slash esque solo. So anyway, that was how I got into him, and that's how I got into guitar. I kind of got into him and guitar at exactly the same time. He was he lit the fire, even though I
Yeah.
didn't play a lot of Prince stuff until years later. Because frankly, there's no point going near any Prince stuff until you've learned to play anyway.
See,
So
I didn't I didn't know that lesson. Like my first things that I was trying to learn was the Undertaker and the Ride, and
wow,
yeah,
wow,
so I kind of learned things and I was learning by ear because obviously with a lot of Prince stuff, and this is the thing, it's like I could find tablature for Megadeth, for Metallica, Faith No More, like all all great solos and everything like that. But what I was trying to play and what I wanted to play, there wasn't a lot of tablature for that. Given that I was listening to bootlegs as well, so I was like, I didn't want to play the record. I mean, I wanted to play the live arrangement, and I cannot tell you there is no tablature out there, or there wasn't in the early '90s in music shops for the girly show version of Vogue. Like no, there's none. They're like you. So I was completely learning by ear. I was like, I had my cassette on. I barely learned how to tune a guitar, and I'd barely learned how to do a hammer on. But I had deuce and a quarter on the first MPG album, and I'm trying to play along, and that's when I realized there's this thing called a scale, that if you do this shape, then all the notes in that shape are in tune. So I had
Yeah.
no like there's no I had like one or two people show me how to do certain riffs. Like I was kind of flying blind and playing it by ear because it was just a guitar that landed on
Mhm.
my.
Oh, it did the world for me having to get stuck into Prince's music as from a guitar player in a group's point of view. I got quite a few of the sort of piano vocal books, which were great because they generally have chord boxes. So a similar thing, you kind of as a
Yeah,
non-academic musician, I mean, I can't read music at speed. I can work music out. I get what it is. I get what the notes are, but I'd have to sit and work it out. But it was, yeah, it helped. Did that though? Obviously, it's with those books. They're chord boxes and voicings for what the piano's doing, which in a weird way was quite helpful because it gave me a really broad view.
mm,
And then as you go along, I mean, again, there's not really tablature to speak of out there. It's not a thing you can get. You can get sort of stuff that people have done, but then you have to apply your ear because a lot of it doesn't sound right. Or with no disrespect to anybody, I think anybody who has a go at putting transcriptions up, all power to them. But for me, it was painstakingly going through live versions of stuff from bootlegs and learning those, like listening to loads of live versions of, I don't know, Play in the Sunshine to get the relatively short and sort of simple bits of solos, or learning, granted the album version's pretty simple, pretty similar, should I say, of like Thunder, but
yeah,
then listening to the live version and the inflections and the way that he sort of goes at it live, I
yeah,
remember that took a long time, and my bass player Ryan, there was some stuff I couldn't work out, and he helped me with it, and so on and so forth. So, from the boy who gave up record a piano
yeah,
and music at O level, I'm always really humble and proud that I can play with the musicians I play with and play Prince's
yeah.
music, because it was, bits of it have been uphill, but well worth the effort, to say the least.
Exactly. I mean, I had two violin lessons and gave up. So I think there's a certain thing about the revelation was that if you just play by ear, as you get further by playing what you want to play than being taught how to play songs you're not interested in playing, I think sometimes.
Yeah,
And especially when there's songs like you're saying, like bootleg versions of uh and not necessarily soundboard good quality. Like you're trying to hear for the rhythm guitar over the sound of someone going, "I love you, Prince."
yeah, yeah. Oh,
It's
for
like,
sure, for
yeah,
sure.
like so you're trying to hear your way through that, and I think that helps. I know it's helped me when I've been in bands and stuff because, like, it helps. It's helped me focus on like trying to hear a detail with a lot of distraction,
Yeah, yeah,
and God knows if you're just doing like kind of like random unpaid band stuff, you are going to have some bad sound in
yeah, for
some
sure.
venues, and you kind of got to hear your way through some really bad situations. So actually learning that way, I think, helped.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a hindrance to it. There's some things that the academic players they can play circles around me in
Me
technique.
too. Oh,
Yeah,
me too.
like and I just have to like I know my limitations.
Yeah, I love playing with musicians, the mix of musicians.
Mm,
Again, if you do anything with Prince, you need a fairly big band and you need a decent amount of orchestration. And to play with people who are sight reading in terms of brass, but then I've got like keyboard players a keyboard player and saxophonists and a bass player who could just go and solo anyway and sight read and do all those things. So it's lovely because it keeps you on, from a guitar perspective, it keeps you on your toes. But like the thing that was always a plus for me was a lot of the members of the band got into Prince through getting into the band. Obviously,
Ah.
my head start was very much that I'd really concentrated on the guitar and I'd listened to so much. And as I say, I initially sort of learned all the bluesy stuff from the rock side of things, but as I started to play Prince stuff, it sort of I always feel it slightly stylized me to be a little bit similar to him,
Mm.
which was kind of nice and did the right job for the right thing in the end. But yeah. So anyway, we're doing this informal chat, and
Yeah.
we've put a few sort of questions together on a piece of virtual paper, and so let's. So one of the ones that you came up with, Shopes, that was really really good was which was the Prince guitar you fell in love with?
Well, because of the Undertaker, I mean, I know a lot of people like that White Cloud is iconic, and that Honda Telecast is iconic, and let me just say, yes, it is absolutely. But for me, the one that kind of set a little fire in my heart is that dark blue cloud, of which I have a cheap Chinese copy. Like I that dark blue cloud that he plays in the Undertaker and the Peach video, that with like the symbol inlays, I cannot tell you how many times I drew that guitar on my school books. Like because I was in love with the cloud before I became in love with like playing guitar, but it was just like it just so happened to be one of the videos where he was playing that guitar that I fell in love with it. So I have a very deep relationship with that kind of image. But like I drew that guitar so many times on my school notebooks, that cloud guitar. It was just like it was in every margin, like would just be just the headstock or the horn. And I didn't even know what I was like. I didn't know the anatomy of a guitar, what things were called. I didn't know it was a pickup. I didn't know it was a machine head or a fret or a neck or a head. I didn't know these things. I just knew that that was just a beautiful, beautiful object that somehow or other I just assumed would make that beautiful sound in whoever's hands.
Yeah, that's the danger, isn't it? You think, oh,
Ooh,
if I pick this up, it's just basically the guitar will know the songs because it looks like a guitar that I'm thinking about, sort of thing.
I was wrong. It can
Yeah,
sound bad in the wrong hands.
yes. Oh yeah, you got to get things right before you hit the stage. There's no doubt about it.
Clank, clank, clank.
Um, yeah, I think the one for me was the Telecaster, unavoidably.
Mm,
Again, the sort of relationship that I've developed with it, playing his stuff, is it feels like the guitar that sort of does everything.
mm,
I mean, it's a fairly basic everything in the sense that you can play sort of nice fat funk on the neck pickup, and then it automatically shoves some distortion on and go to the bridge, and it has that sort of thin rock sound that was
mm.
absolutely archetypal from like probably more so the Purple Rain tour if I'm thinking about it, because the mix of guitars was different prior
Yeah,
to that with Des and everything. But like, yeah, it's a workhorse.
that's exactly what I was going to say, because it's like you look at the amount of country players that have Telecasters with that country
Absolutely.
twang. It goes everywhere from blues country to like you can shred on it.
And
It's
it's
like
but the thing is as well, it wasn't sort of an obvious choice. It does a lot of rock, and he kept doing a lot of rock, sort of rock stuff as well as the funk stuff live in later years. Kept the Telecaster. The Telecaster was always there. But there's some trains of thought that would have said, well, no, if you're going to do a load of solos, you automatically switch to something that's got a humbucker, like one of the clouds or the
mm.
cymbal. But the Telecaster was the guitar that endured through the entirety of his career. And I think there's a good reason for that.
It's also the guitar he plays the solo on at First Avenue. Like
Yeah,
the cloud isn't there when he's recording Purple Rain. It's that Telecaster.
absolutely.
Yeah, so
Absolutely.
it's like like we associate. That's again that thing of like we associate the sound with what we see, i.e.,
Mm.
the white cloud, and boy, that guitar can make that sound. and then some. But that Telecaster is where the actual recording
Yeah.
came
And
from.
don't get me wrong. I like me a bit of Cloud. There's no
Ooh.
doubt. I think my favorite was always the one well, the it's a little bit ridiculous. Here's two fully grown men talking about the same guitar that just painted a different color. I mean, there is a certain amount of insanity there, complete insanity.
Look, if guys can talk about cars painted a different color, we can talk about guitars
Oh,
painted a
amen,
different
brother,
color. Yeah,
amen. No,
exactly.
absolutely. But like the Blue Angel and Let Me Introduce You to My Guitar and that slight homogenization of it
Yeah.
when you're watching the Dortmund show, I absolutely love that. And that little guitar solo that he did where he's sliding the double stop on the octave and he's getting that do 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 and all that
Oh, the
kind of thing.
sister one,
Yeah.
where
No, no, no. It
where it
was
looks like he's scratching his ass. Oh no, Blues in C. If I
no, no, no. It was part of the that "I Wish You Heaven" sort of riff, and then
oh yeah,
he's
the
like Bonnie, you
take
do
this beat,
something, and he
yeah.
just that, and yeah, yeah, that sort of spoke to me as well. I was kind of, oh, I love that, absolutely love that. And in a sense, when sort of your version of that guitar, I associate that more with a harsher guitar sound because when he sort of hit the 1993 tour, he had again, I couldn't speak to everything he had on stage for every tour in terms of like amps and stuff, but it was a much nastier sound in many ways.
Yeah,
I always thought a more metallic, not metal, but just like a metallic-y,
yeah,
shiny sound, which was again great because it separated that era in a way. When you hear him doing "She's Always in My Hair" from
yeah.
that era, it's like, whoa, this is fucking nasty. And
Nasty.
I always really like that as well. And honorary mention, and we never saw enough of it, and we were robbed by whatever technical hitch occurred during Anastasia on the Dortmund show. But that Oswald Model C, I mean, I'm in love with that. There's a guy in the UK who has one, which is a beautiful, beautiful build of that
Yeah.
guitar, which he's so kindly allowed me to play at a few gigs, and he brings it along when I'm sort of local to him. And oh my god, the buzz! Many years ago, the first time I ever saw this guitar, it was in a little pub called the Moses Gate in Bolton, and he brought it along, and like the rest of the band were just laughing the shit. They were like you, and I was just like sat there just touching it and then taking my hands off it, and just like, oh my god, this is. I know it's not an Oswald, but that was EMG,
Yeah.
isn't it? And everything,
Yeah.
beautiful build, and sort of using that was so much fun. But that guitar, it just looks so beautiful. I know it's outlandish, and I know it's not for everybody. I'm just so upset that we didn't get the solo and anesthesia on Dortmund because I
Oh,
think that's the only official
oh.
visible bit of video that's ever been ever
At
been
least he started
available.
playing it again around the 2010, so we got lots of lovely pictures of it for the Welcome to America stuff.
Yeah, and the some of the new tour stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
the Spanish TV and the Japanese TV
That
shows. You get plenty of um,
can I just say that
yeah.
version of Question of You from the new tour
Oh, tell me about it. Oh, just
where
what? Yeah,
that's
yeah,
oh god, shivers.
yeah, yeah.
But
No, for sure, for sure.
yeah, I got to play that a copy unplugged, like in the corner of the room while I think where you guys were sound checking, and I kind
Oh,
of
of course, in London. Yeah,
yeah
yeah. I
in
remember.
London because he brought it down to London, and I was just like, because he bought that and the cymbal.
Yeah, that white symbol. Yeah, from the same luthier. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like that. Even Prince said that that cymbal was a hard, was like. I mean, he hinted it once that it was like sometimes I've had guitars where I sacrifice playability for visuals, and I know for sure he's talking about that cymbal guitar because it is it's not a comfortable guitar to play because
Hey, let's talk about the cymbal guitar
yeah,
then.
exactly. But
Absolutely.
it's a beautiful sounding guitar, and it's a
Yeah.
beautiful guitar to me. I
I
know.
I was always very conflicted
Oh, really?
with it. Yeah. I don't know. I don't really know why. It does feel like a build that is a little bit too far out in a sense and a little bit daft. But this is Prince we're talking about, and
Yeah.
Prince invents themes, music, color, presentation, and a guitar. And for the gold two, the gold one was always my go-to. I
Yeah,
know, the black, the white one, obviously Habibi later on with the whammy bar. For
yeah,
me, the go-to was that
mm,
gold one. That was the
yeah.
one that I kind of can get a bit closer to. Again, silly man in his 50s talking about the different color. Basically, it's
Yeah, but
insane.
do you prefer the 22? Do you prefer the 24 fret Jerry Oswald one or the 22 fret Zeke Clark one?
The original Oswald, I
Yeah,
think.
exactly.
Yeah, original Oswald, definitely, definitely.
I'm just letting you know how how far in this stuff goes. It's like
Yeah.
I remember seeing it when I went to Paisley Park. It was framed and it was like kind of weirdly enough, it was in a case just by a little nook. I mean, I was already geeking about just this nook, and I was like, "That's where the phone was from the opening of the Undertaker video." I'm in the same hallway. Like, I was already like geeking out. Then I turned to my left, and there is the actual Oswald Cloud guitar. You can tell it because there is sweat rust on all of the hardware. There is, a, you can see where it's been
You mean
cracked.
the Oswald cymbal guitar, right?
Yeah, the Oswald cymbal
So
guitar.
so you said cloud. I was like, have I missed something?
No, no,
Sorry,
no,
Tom.
no, no. No. That's I got to see that at the Smithsonian, but
Awesome.
no. But the one at Paisley Park, you can see rust spots in like the kind of tremolo
Wow.
hardware because of the sweating
Yeah.
and you can and also actually in the Model C as well when I got up close to that because both of
Mhm.
those were on display. Oh, luckily enough, I got to see them up close and to see like the cracks and the flaws in it and the chips and like this kind of shining beacon of the thing is like it's like kind of meeting. I don't know. It's like meeting like a veteran or something and acknowledging you've had a hard life.
Well,
Some
if
you've
thing is, if
seen some stuff.
yeah, if you throw that to your technician or drop it, it's going to break because of the angles. There's that thing as well. I think there were quite a few massive repairs across like the gold tour, wasn't there?
Oh yeah, yeah. There's footage of that the black one falling on the floor and like the horn coming straight off,
Yeah, yeah,
and like they glued on and hoped he wouldn't do it again, and then they threw it and it snapped in the same point. And
yeah, man.
like you look at that, I mean, you look at that Rave into the Joy Fantastic where he's soloing on the one eye bass at the start of Kiss, and then this next second he's throwing it across the stage, and it hits a set of stairs, and I'm just like inside. I'm just like that would be something that I would lay on a pillow at night, like.
It'd have its own room.
And I think that's why we don't get the same sound out of it, that same nasty sound out of it as Prince had. I think we sometimes when we play these guitars, you and I, because they are hard won by financially and in terms of work and stuff,
Yeah,
have
yeah,
a lot of reverence and for these things. And
yeah. It's true. It's
when you
true.
see them up close, Prince didn't.
Mine are pretty heavily dinked though, but
You
I
think,
mean,
yeah.
yeah, but yeah, for sure, man. I'm just trying to think of some other honourable mentions because I think he
Oh,
got a little bit. Dull's not the word. It's completely subjective. In sort of perhaps in the later 2000s and stuff like the Voxers and the early 2000s, just like using
straps.
Strats and stuff. Well,
I
I
mean,
mean, nothing wrong with them. Don't get me wrong.
they
A
were
few
modded up to.
different, yeah, slightly different tones because again, it'd go with the MG configurations for a lot of stuff all the time. But again, that it didn't inspire me to be as interested in the guitars. When all is said and done, for me, Prince is about for me, the iconic guitars, I use the word iconic, perhaps that's wrong, I don't know, but the cymbal was probably the last of the great ones. The cymbal, the Oswald, not many people, it's not as widely known. The
No,
cloud's the cloud, the telly's the
yeah,
telly. I suppose if you go back to around the beginning, the Les Paul with the fur on and the cut off
no, the
horn, that was
Les
a
Paul
nice
Junior,
little
yeah.
baby, was that was something, that's an up and comer without endless resources had to go at making, and I really like that. I really like
It's
that.
like that again. Is like when that My Name Is Prince exhibition came to the O2, that was there, and it was just to
Oh
see how
wow.
raw and like put together in a home project that thing was just like, oh wow, this is like light stage lighting can do a lot for for your guitar because it does. I mean, like up close and personal, it's so lovely, and
Yeah.
that that org. Well, I suppose he returned to that ore guitar as well, the one that you see in the "I Want to Be Your Lover" video,
Yeah.
and that got like refurbished and redid for the Third Eye Girl stuff. But yeah, you're right. I mean, he did go a bit.
Contemporized almost.
Yeah, I mean, they were never really just off the rack because even like the Strats were heavily like you're not going to find those Strats in a guitar shop
Mm.
because they've basically got the cloud guitars.
And I always wondered, why did he stop playing? I'd love to know why he stopped playing the cloud. I mean, absolutely his prerogative. No worries there. But and indeed, it had its own funeral. But
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't. Yeah, I'd love to know why that was.
Well, he was going to pick it back up again for that Super Bowl, wasn't he? Because there was a pick. He got it painted orange for the Super Bowl. There was a pick. There was,
Ah, of course, I'd forgotten that.
and he
Interesting.
was, and which matched the suit that he was going to wear. I wonder if the reason he didn't play it was because of the rain. He didn't want to mess it up, and
Maybe.
then just Prince being mercurial was like, that's an omen. I shouldn't start doing playing this guitar again.
Possibly. One thing, one
Yeah,
thing I thought of when you said about the lights on the guitar on a stage. I always thought he had a pink cloud as well, because on the Dortmund video, I can't remember. It's the the Let's Go Crazy Doves
yeah.
1999 type of medley thing, and I was I can't remember which one he was playing for it specifically, but I
He
think
was playing the
1999.
peach one for those one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what I mean. But by 1990, when he did 1999, yeah, you could see it was peach. But whatever clashing light that was on it, and again, I only got into Prince in '88, so I was a lot newer to all this. I didn't know any lineage, nothing like that. So I always figured he had a pink one as well, which I was a bit disappointed when I realised, oh, you daft brush, it's just the lights, and it's actually the peach one. I realised later on.
There's so much of that when you're looking at VHSs and stuff. You think one thing's one thing, and then you kind of like years later you go,
Yeah.
"Oh, it's that." I mean, he had so many guitars and basses and acoustics and stuff that I fell in love with. I one of the guitars that seems very standard and off the rack is he's got a thing called a. Sometimes you see, weirdly enough, you see Levi playing it, but like most of the time you see Tony M playing it or Wendy. Like it's an Epiphone Emperor Regent, but it's a thin line one that was only made for a couple of years. It's a
Mm.
Japanese Epiphone, and most people will have seen it because it's like there's a picture of him like in the scandalous video red suit
Yeah.
playing like a jazzy like old F hole guitar, and that's the one I'm talking about. And it's the one that Wendy's playing in Kiss. Actually, I should have started with that. Everybody would know that one. Like, but it's yeah, it's like a very it's hard to find a copy of one of those. I've
Mm.
wanted a copy of one of those, or
Cool.
basically to have an acoustic that I can put a mirrored heart on.
Oh yes, no, I'd love to do that with something.
So for me,
Yeah,
that would be from the Seven video, but
yeah. Oh, for an acoustic, yeah, my Prince acoustic song is forever in my life. His little, his noodling as he works his way into starting to get to the vocals.
mm.
None of it's sort of mega difficult, but it's incredibly effective,
Oh,
and he's just, I don't know, was that the first time? Would that have been the first time he played guitar on a tour? Sorry, not guitar, obviously, an acoustic guitar on a tour. I don't know. I could be well wrong, but on the top of my head, I'm thinking
I
that might have been.
can't think of anyone's before that. I mean,
Mm,
apart from maybe if you include for the Tears in Your Eyes video where they've got the 12
of
string, like,
course,
so
yeah,
they're
yeah,
playing. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
there's instances of him playing acoustic guitars, like, just in general. But on tour, I think that's the first
yeah. I think so.
acoustic he's taken out on tour with
I
him.
think so.
Yeah.
Um,
I would
yeah,
hazard a guess that that was the first one.
yeah.
And it wasn't it certainly wasn't every tour that one was visible. I think there were ones where they were taken out, but they weren't visible, like the Planet Earth, like sorry, the 21 Nights in London. There was an acoustic guitar made specifically for that.
Oh
A
yeah, I remember.
Taylor
Yeah,
acoustic
yeah.
with like the Planet Earth. like paint printed on the front of the acoustic guitar that was always in the stands, and every night we were
Was
like, oh, there's got to be
was
an acoustic set.
was the picture of that guitar in the book that was released that you got?
Yes, in the Paisley
Okay,
Park.
okay. Yeah, yeah,
Oh, that beautiful, beautiful
yeah.
book. So that was, I mean, there was that. I mean, there was the most surprising thing for me was when you start to see things like budget guitars like Daisy Rock, like the Purple Heart guitar that Andy Allo plays.
Hmm.
Was just like, oh my god, that's like a super budget £100 guitar, and it's just like when you realize this guy can make a sound on anything, and this is
Well,
where like,
the Telecasters were relatively inexpensive.
oh yeah,
Compared to his sort of custom builds and stuff, they were. And I mean, Telecasters, by virtue of what they are planks and strings and pickups. There's nothing,
that
that's got kind of one of the things, as Prince being sort of my guy musically. Obviously, this is the podcast we're on, but kind of like, you yeah, you have a lot of amazing technical players who do certain things with certain types of guitars and things like that. It's like, you get what you get out exactly what you put in with a Telecaster because there's nowhere to hide at all.
no.
So I always like the fact that was the workhorse again. That I
Mm.
kind of like that. Yeah, 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 for
See,
sure.
weirdly enough, like over the years, like if I talked about my personal playing, like I've gone the Strat direction. I like the sweetness of that tone, and like more of a Strat player in my when I'm creating my own stuff. But
Mhm.
yeah, like
For sure, it's mirroring the what I just said is mirrored in my head thinking about it. My favorite guitar to play is the Hohner Telecaster copy, the one that was available. I mean, I got it in 1990 or 1991. It cost exactly 220 quid,
oh
and it is it remains beautiful to play. It's one of only two guitars I've ever had to have refretted because I'd actually worn the frets to grooves where the intonation was starting to go doing playing Prince stuff. But again, we do a gig, you do 78% of the gig on that guitar, and it's beautiful to play. But it's not like, as I say, it's just not a massively expensive crafted guitar to be uber fast necessarily, or a
yeah,
guitar that's built to be an astonishing tone. But for playing funk, the neck pickup on that is just the most, for me, sort of tight but colourful. It's a beautiful tone, absolutely beautiful tone. I love that guitar so much. I think it pisses sound engineers off slightly because as soon as you go to the distortion, sort of the distortion channel on the bridge, it's thin compared to most distorted. Most players will be doing distortion through a humbucker, but not
yeah.
everybody, but most. So you're giving sort of engineers something that's slightly different. So a lot of time I have to roll back a little bit on stage or slightly EQ or whatever if it's particularly hot or they don't like it. But that's always the same thing that comes up. It's too bright. It's too bright. Um, but yeah, love it. I absolutely love it.
So I mean, this is a thing. It's once or twice. There's only I've ever done like one or two gigs where it's like I'm playing print stuff. I mean, there's been a couple of bands where I've managed to wangle them to do a Prince cover in there, but I know that gigs where I've done Prince stuff live, there is something special about doing it because there's some I think it's where the teenage you who that was the reason that you picked up this instrument, and this is the reason I play is because of this. It's like a kind of a weird connection. It's like it's there's something great about playing your own stuff and playing originals and bands and stuff like that, but I don't know if you still find it that there's something so fun about like playing Prince stuff and playing, like playing cosplaying in your head.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I play live because I'm a player again, a player as opposed to an academic musician, and I just want to get. It's not even sort of an exhibitionist type of thing. I just love playing his music. I mean, I can't say any simpler than that. I play in a couple of tribute bands for those reasons, and you know Prince is my absolute favorite musician, no surprise. And then there's another band I do, which is my other probably my second or third favorite musicians sort of thing.
Oh,
It's
who's that?
well, it's a little bit of a dichotomy. I have two two guitars, guitar obsessed, two tattoos on the inside of my arms, and one is the Prince symbol, but the other is the merciless release logo of the Sisters of Mercy,
Oh, yes,
which is
of
my
course.
other
I
one.
don't know.
So yeah, a little bit sort of dichotomous to each other, to say the least. But there you go. But for me, and again, people will be like, oh, can think what they think. It's just the sheer joy of playing it, and again, the sheer joy for me. And I am not just saying this to be like a complete nice fucker or like uber modest in a sense. I get the opportunity in the Prince band to play with musicians who are far better than I am, and I have to chase. It keeps me on my game. In my back pocket, I've got the thing of, yeah, okay, it's me who does the arrangements and calls the shots to a degree in that sense, and they help me make sense of the things I can't make sense of through the years and all these kind of things. And I'm not by far, not a note perfect player every single time, but it's literally the joy of, and I don't know, the ebullience of being able to just channel that stuff. There is the other side of it. You go out and you gig with your friends, and you drive up and down the motorway and all that kind of thing. But it all comes down to the same thing. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to get to this thing, and off you go. It's as simple as that. You hit your riff and you're gone, and that's what it's about. Yeah, I love every aspect of playing Prince live except the frigging sexy MF solo, because that's very challenging for me, not
Oh,
being a
it
jazz
is.
natural and not being able to swing that as quite as nice as I would like,
Ding, 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 ding,
and
ding, ding,
sometimes get
ding,
that
ding,
wrong.
ding. Oh, yeah, and it's that's a feel song as well. That's like your approach to that song, like with the rhythm and I just love that song. It's fun to
Yeah,
play.
yeah, yeah.
It's definitely
Oh, the
fun to
rest of
play.
it's to die for. Don't worry. It's just
Yeah.
that solo is a little bit intimidating for me because it's just a coat I don't wear all everywhere else because I'm not a jazzer. I have a couple of amazing jazz musicians in my band, but I am not one of them. I'm not one of them.
Well, this goes on to something else, and so let's talk about Prince as a guitarist when you're trying to approach him. And I mean, Prince as a guitarist anyway is like,
Oh,
you know, if you're a Prince fan, he's the greatest guitarist in the world. I think I'm I'll reserve my things until my opinion until I've heard yours. But
okay.
what do you think? Where would you place in the pantheon of guitarists? And this is
This
this
is.
is
I feel I'm going to get to the same place here with making myself slightly unpopular in the same way as I put on the Facebook page when Sinead O'Connor passed away. I always said, my favorite version of that song is the version that she sings. Yeah, it's Prince's song. He wrote it. It was released prior, but for me, that is my favorite version of that song. And I remember somebody particularly posted on the Facebook, "I thought you were Prince fans. I'm not. I'm you know, not being on this page anymore." I thought, wow, okay, fine. It's subjective, but it is what it is. So for me, there's this thing, right? And it does come up. The fact, to be fair enough, to be completely fair, the fact that it comes up speaks volumes and is a testament to Prince. This thing of, was Prince the best guitar player of all time? Not a question that's actually a good question, because there is so much difference
Mhm.
in playing guitar. So it's a bit of a non-question in a sense, and the only way you can answer it is from a subjective point of view, which obviously is what it is. For me, no, he's not the best guitar player of all time. No, I could probably pick somebody or a couple of people who I might think are, but the easier thing to do would be think of styles of music and assign who you might think would be the best. And again, what does the best mean? The most inventive,
Yeah.
the progenitor of certain things,
Yeah.
and so on and so forth, the most technical, all those kind of things. But the thing I will say about Prince, and if you think of him in this way, which I think is the correct way to think of him as a guitarist, he was arguably, and I think I would argue this because I can't think of anybody else who fits the criteria quite as well. as somebody who's a true, the word icon is completely applicable to Prince.
Mm,
He was a generational talent. He created anthems, a massive amount of music, all the things that we know. And he was in the popular sphere. So, most people on the globe would have heard of Prince. He had big number one hits. Who doesn't know the song Purple Rain? Even now, who doesn't know the song Purple Rain? So he was a pop slash rock icon, we'll say. Now, for a pop rock icon to be able to play clean funk guitar as well as he does. Because when people say, "Oh God, playing a Prince tribute, how do you play those solos?" I mean, God, it's like, no, 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 no. The hard stuff is some of the funk stuff they plays. If you want
yeah.
to try and replicate how he plays really fast 16th funk lines live, or how he might ad lib stuff, and how he might move, and how he uses double stops, and the speed and the cleanliness of his playing, and how he uses silence and feel. He's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. So for somebody who was one of the biggest musicians of all time, with some of the biggest songs of all time, who was an icon, to be so broadly skilled and a jack of all trades on the guitar, I struggle to think of anybody else
Mm,
who did those things. You can think of a few musicians who were not as well known, perhaps, who could play guitar and every other instrument and sing,
yeah.
but they didn't have a Purple Rain, a Kiss, a 1999, a Most Beautiful Girl in the World.
Mm,
They didn't have those written down multi platinum. So, as a guitarist in that sphere and playing live, as a jack of all trades within that sphere, I think hands down he's the guy for me.
yeah.
He's the guy, if that makes sense.
See, yeah. I mean, like when people say the greatest, I would. I mean, I'd go to say, well, he's my favorite, and the rest can you can argue because he's my favorite is the truth. Like that's an unarguable. Now, I think he's probably the most versatile. I don't. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what makes the greatest of all time. I mean, is he the most influential of all time? Hendrix is more influential as a guitarist, probably.
Hendrix had probably, if you had to say who was the greatest guitarist of all
Yeah,
time, it was Hendrix, I think, because, but again, the thing I'm measuring him on is the fact that he was, what the legacy of his influence is, and the fact that he came up with it first and he did so many things,
yeah,
and he was actually a really fucking good player as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. All of those things, and like, but then you can kind of but everybody's on a chain of influence. Like Prince was influenced by someone, and his influences were influenced by someone, and influenced. So, who really is the most influenced is who's at the start of that chain, and it's probably
Mm.
somebody completely unknown to history. I mean, I know we can kind of go like a lot of modern rock and roll and stuff. You can trace through Sister Rosetta Tharpe, but
Mm.
but who is the originator is a much
Mm.
murkier water. But in terms, or are you saying greatest as in who can do the fastest run of the pentatonic scale, or who can do the most hammer-ons per second? It's like, well, like I would say greatest has to be listenable and
Yeah.
serviceable as a musician.
Hey,
You
yeah.
can learn some tricks, and I mean, so it's
Steve Vai, Joe Satriani, Paul Gilbert, Richie Kotzen, none of those guys could knock out Purple Rain solo.
well, this is the
They
other
couldn't
thing as
write
well.
that.
Is like, and also that's their instrument that they spend all the time on.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
and Prince could equally just jump on the bass, and Stanley Clark or Larry Graham, like then jump on the guitar and well, just name a guitarist and he can probably do it. Like, and
I would rather be if the word genius for Prince, I think, is entirely justifiable, and I
yeah,
don't throw that around. Like somebody like Steve Vai as just a guitar player is a technical genius type of thing.
mm,
But if you've got to be a genius, you'd be the guy who wrote the hits and played all the different styles and all the instruments and was one of the best vocalists of all time.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, but his
You were
guitar was a huge part of that as well.
you were inventive and got away with it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Oh, and yeah, and inventive.
Mm.
Absolutely. I the way that he's again, I'm an 80. We've had this discussion. Where's Andy when I need him? I'm an 80s guy, and Purple Rain was my way in. And I know that's a bit of a staid thing to say, and it's not
No,
the
I mean
coolest
it's
thing necessarily, but you know, it was a obviously there was a little bit of an agenda behind that album, and it was an agenda to break into a more sort of rock dominated sound and all that kind of thing, and the white, all that
yeah,
bullshit and all that sort of thing. But like he still his rock songs are funky. His
yeah.
solos, the improvised solos and whittles are really tasteful, and some of the like nasty shit like Computer Blue. It's just and Darling, it's just geniusly brilliant for somebody that young. It's just amazing.
Also,
I
it
love it.
wasn't something he developed over his career. It was there on the first album in I'm Yours.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You know, like that guy, that rock guy was pretty evident from the get-go. Maybe it was that the whole album was, skewed a different way, but
Yeah, yeah.
so when we get to like moments like where everybody was coming to me the day after the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, like so where everybody's coming over to you going, "Oh my god, I didn't know Prince could play guitar like that. I didn't know
Oh,
Prince had a guitar like that." And I'm just like, well, I mean, it's great, and I love the Rock and Roll Hall
yeah,
of
yeah.
Fame solo. It is a particularly great piece of Prince work, and it's a great moment of him like stealing thunder in that environment and claiming his flowers while he's still alive. I don't think there was a single hardcore Prince fan that was surprised
Oh
that he
God,
could do
no,
that. I
no.
mean, we've all seen Motherless Child from Septimo, right? All the
Yeah,
hardcore,
yeah,
and like so, and that guy goes into some metal riffs.
yeah.
Like some nasty metal riffs in that thing with the pitch shifter and yeah, it's just like it surprised me that people were surprised.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. But I suppose that was for mass consumption, wasn't it? Not that
Yeah.
well, I suppose the intention is to sell records, it's like mass consumption, but yeah, it was a particular point in time where he knew that the lens would be on him.
Mm.
Whether all that's I don't know whether it's all true about he was miffed about not being in the top 500 guitarists. If I have to say, if Rolling Stone do a top 500 guitarists, I would say he should be in it without a shadow of a doubt. I do, I really do. But that performance, the thing is, like I say, having listened to bootleg upon bootleg upon bootleg, I wouldn't go as far as to say it was nothing special because it was special
Oh
because
no,
of
it was
what it
special.
achieved. But it was for me that was just more about Prince's feel in an alien environment.
Mm.
Prince,
Oh yeah,
you remember the stuff about him not doing Live Aid because he didn't. I think it was the interviews, that one with all the girls sat around him in. I
yeah,
think it was
yeah. I would.
'86, and they asked him about why didn't you do, and he. I think again. I hope I'm not making this up in my head to a degree. You'll be able to correct me anyway. You know this stuff better than me, but I'm sure he said something along the lines of, I just wasn't sort of comfortable with that. It
So,
wasn't my show, and I couldn't be my best if I didn't.
yeah, pretty
Yeah, it's a
much. He said
control
that.
thing. Yeah.
He's
So
said I would clam up around all those great talented
So here
people.
was
Yeah,
an
no,
older,
yeah,
seasoned Prince with Tom Petty, Jeff Lynne, and all
yeah,
these other like well-known musicians. Sits there in the shadows, black and white suit. You see George Harrison's son's face when the moment's coming, and he looks across, and you get that big ass smile,
yeah,
and you just think, "Oh shit, something's coming," and basically, it's like a freight train of feel and the way he plays some lovely stuff, like
yeah.
little pull offs up and down on the B, just nothing like ludicrously technical or fast or demanding, but as Scotty Baldwin always says, he uses space beautifully. His feel his feel is spot on, and
Mm.
he was under a magnifying glass in an alien environment for him, an alien environment for how he is consumed by the masses. Because I can't
Hmm.
think, with a couple of exceptions, I can't think of anything quite like that. and he just absolutely fucking nailed it.
Yeah.
So then people who either
Yeah.
half know him or don't know him at all are come, oh, you like Prince, aren't you? God, did you see that solo? And you just want to say, oh, you no idea. You just
Oh,
no
I kind of
idea.
wanted to say I've been in the room when he's done better solo.
But it's
Look
like,
at it.
but the
But
counterpoint to that is
yeah,
I love it. I love it when people do, all the people I know Prince fans. That kind of defines me to a degree, and
yeah,
they come up and sort of say, "Oh man, that was." And I love the fact that they get something from it, or feel a bit of a tingle, or just
yeah.
give you a nod to the guy that they know is your guy. And it's like, yeah, I'm glad you've seen that because he's the shit. He is the shit.
I still get. Don't get me wrong. Like I know it sounds like it makes me sound like a snarky, jaded fan when I say that things. Don't get me wrong. I am still so happy every time somebody comes up to me and say that Rock and Roll Hall of Fame performance. Like whenever when Prince comes up and said he's an amazing guitarist. I'm like, you know what? If just for that, just for
Yeah.
the fact that that people don't have to search for a moment where he's great amongst our loads of other bootlegs. It's just out there
Mhm.
and it's just recognized and it's posted and it's in top tens and what have you, and the Super Bowl performance as well. Just
Yeah, yeah.
like
Super
just
Bowl
those kind of
performance.
like
Yeah.
people need easy find off the shelf kind of moments, I guess. I don't mean that in a derogatory sense. I mean that in a just a
Yeah. No, I
I
see what you're saying. I see what
mean,
you're saying.
like, not every like, I can't expect everybody to go like, well, there's this Spanish TV performance where he does a Richie Havens cover. Do you know what I mean? To find, to find a great, like, a great moment.
It's insane because I always think of his First Avenue show in '83, the dance
Yeah.
theatre benefit preamble for Purple Rain. Most of the people listening to this conversation will be aware of what that is.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say okay, yeah, the Hall of Fame thing was good, but listen to him play KCU by Joni Mitchell
Yeah.
on guitar, and it's fucking beautiful. It's subtle. It's just amazing,
Or just my
amazing.
imagination on
Yeah,
a
yeah.
small club,
Or
like,
even stuff that's accessible. I'd always throw people at the Syracuse show and say, look,
yeah.
just go and listen to Purple Rain. He comes out and plays his telly and plays some like noodles, some clean stuff, and it's
Yeah.
lovely and it's quite accomplished. It's not easy to play that. And then his solo, because he's in this whirlwind of things culminating for him.
Yeah.
You know, he's on the world stage the first time, right at the top. This is his tour. This is his moment. Arguably his apex.
Yeah.
Everything's coming together, and he's playing his biggest song, and he's doing the solo, and it's just some of the bends that he does, and like slightly dissonant bends here and there, and the emotion that's channeling through the guitar.
Mm.
I mean, for me, that solo on that show, which is a very very obvious one to mention,
Yeah.
is it blows the Hall of Fame one absolutely out of the water. For me personally, again, subjectivity
Yeah.
and
I
so on and
mean,
so forth.
it's also, again,
Um,
it's subjective. All of this is subjective.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
But then I can think of there's a really scratchy recording of one of the two Maple Leaf Garden gigs in Canada in '84 December from that tour. One of those that I had on bootleg on my cassette player, which is the most amazing. I've never heard another version of Purple Rain solo played. It's just there's something about it. There are little like melodies he does and bits of his solo, and it's just like, oh my god, this is just he was just in a place.
I've
And so
told
on.
you my husband was at that show,
Yes,
right?
yeah, I know, yeah, I know, I know. I am so jealous. I know that he got what was it? He got covered in a bit of the Telecaster water,
Yeah,
and all that
which
kind
is
of
weird. It
thing.
got weird because that Telecaster was not like the Honor one. It
Of
was
course, yeah,
a Hondo one, like your
yeah,
first
yeah.
guitar, which I was like
It would have been a
weird enough.
crime to think it was one of the Mad Cats that it was throwing at the end of it. That would have made me wince.
Oh my god, when he throws that Warwick bass and the one eye bass and Raven too. Oh god,
Yeah, no,
Raven to
it's
the year
hard. It's hard to
2000.
watch.
That's hard to watch. I mean, I love the Raven to the year 2000 thing, if only for the amount of beautiful instruments we get to see throughout. Like we get to see the blue cloud, the purple symbol, the the Habibi, the
Yeah.
one-eye bass, the purple axe,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that Schimmel piano. Like it's just an orgy of just beautiful instruments. It's not particularly the best show he's ever done. I mean, I think it's quite it's okay. Shows do, but it's a great showcase.
He messed with the cross. That was difficult for me to get past.
Yeah.
But hey, that's
It
another
was
podcast in itself, almost. But
it
yeah, yeah.
goes to the left of us. It's like, okay, Elvis. So is that your favorite, like the Purple Rain version of Purple Rain? Is that your favorite like live Prince moment on guitar
Ooh,
anyway?
live
I
Prince
mean,
moments.
on guitar.
Uh, the things that I'll mention are just personal to me. I'm not saying that they're
Yeah.
like from a playing perspective astonishing or amazing.
Oh God, no.
I noted a few down. I noted a few down. The little bit of a sort of jazz run, it's probably only, I don't know, 2 to 4 bars on If I Had a Harem. The bit where he
Yeah.
starts running up and playing like a jazz scale, and it's beautifully. And then he does like a and
I,
he sort of pulls 2 or 3 muted strings and catches the bottom
yeah.
string. I can't remember what the appropriate name is for that. I think that's
Gliss,
gorgeous. I
glisten.
don't know,
Yeah.
and that's within the context of a very blues based
Yeah.
song sort of thing. Um,
Then he just does that thing where he picks the guitar and like falls over. It's like, bam!
yeah, the
Like
ending of 1999 on the Purple Rain tour, where he does he's just like, again, he's sort of rubbing what's he's pumping the phallus of the neck, and he bends the E
he's rubbing the
string.
magic lamp.
Yes, he's bending the E string. Wow, really bending the E string hard. Just but that was him at the time. Younger. He's attacking the guitar. He's being belligerent with his
Yeah,
guitar, and it's all about feel and the sort of
yeah.
power and the oomph that he gets out of it. And I just love that. The intro to he played like the Sign of the Times tour. Okay, I so wish I'd have seen that tour. But the Sign of the Times tour, where I'm assuming the lights come up and he's sort of there under a spotlight type of thing. I can't remember what the actual, I suppose the closest thing we ever got was the version on the
Movie.
Sign of the Times Super Deluxe Blu-ray and so on. But the little intros that he played before the loop comes in, there is one on the he says just spinning through to capture the city
There's
that he was in that night. It was
Are you talking about the Paris one?
no, the Gothenburg one.
Okay.
The beginning of, and it was it was recorded on a tape in the audience, but there's something about it. It just he's doing his Let's Go Crazy sort of pentatonic E and B bend, as if
Yeah.
he'd started the Let's Go Crazy solo, and then he does his little runs in C and drops to that F, and it's just stuff like that. There's so many moments. I said to you before we started recording this, the problem with doing this is you mention 7 or 8 things, and then it's the bajillion that occur to
Oh,
you
like
the moment you sort of close the session down.
when you were talking about the aggressive slides on like his guitar, the first thing that I thought of was like, oh yeah, that performance of Head from New York on the Dirty Mind tour.
Stood on top of
That
the
and
you see
that was so good,
that for me
so good.
that was so showing a guy who was going to be a monumentally good guitarist
That was a
because he
hungry
was tasteful.
guy.
And the other thing is as well, I don't think he could. This is going to sound a bit odd. I don't think, because of the guitar journey he would have gone on, playing noodling to himself, recording, and tour after tour after tour with different sets of musicians, he probably wouldn't be able to reproduce that kind of thing now. I mean, technically he would, but I don't think he'd. He's I don't know, his guitar mojo probably wouldn't do that again. And I love the aspect of the fact that to some degree that's frozen in time and we can see it,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
this evolution of his playing.
No one can go back to being an excited amateur trying it. There's
Yeah, yeah.
you've picked up too many smoothing skills and like what have you along the way. You can be aggressive and you can be thingy, but it's always going to be it's a different kind of skill. I mean, he's already very accomplished even by Dirty Mind, but like, he gets better and better and better, like, technically speaking. For me, one a really underrated solo is Interactive.
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
Like, it's one of my favorites.
Are you
Like,
referring to a live version or the recorded version?
I love the way he did it live.
Mhm,
I
mhm.
love the way he did that live. I'm trying to think of the best one live. Actually, it was that. Unfortunately, they didn't use it on the Beautiful Experience, but it's the gig that they did that they used the video for that Beautiful Experience. So on the Beautiful Experience film, they use the live version of Days of Wild. They've used
Yeah,
that
yeah.
live version of Shh and Now, but with Interactive, they use the studio version alongside it. But like, if you get the bootleg of the concert, like the soundboard thing,
Mhm.
soundboard one, the guitar solo from that is just phenomenal. Like, for me, I love it. The way he shapes that. I love that riff for a start. That dun, 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 dun. Like, I mean, and there's so many over the years. I think a really underrated one is the acoustic solos he did during the Diamonds and Pearls tour on Thieves in the Temple.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Those were stunning. Some
Yeah,
of those
yeah.
ones that are on those Earls Court just flutters.
I love how much that's removed from the recorded version, yet fits perfectly and in a live environment. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah, yeah, no, really nice.
Oh, and those just little flutters of acoustic guitar between him screaming his head off. It was just like, oh, it was heavenly. And obviously on that same tour, some of the versions of that Live for Love that's on the Diamonds and Pearls video collection,
Yeah, yeah.
like, that is, come on.
And I always like the
Come
way he does
on.
so many unison things. So he's band playing unison parts where
Yeah.
yeah, everybody's running the same part, and he follows on a nasty dirty guitar, and he
Yeah.
just knows exactly when to do it. A really good example of this, because you and I, one of the podcast ideas we've been discussing, folks, is looking at his live TV performances with a
Yes.
little bit of variation on that. And I wasn't aware that the MTV Awards, Sign of the Times, and Play in the Sunshine performances were to a large degree off backing track,
Yeah.
insofar as he was playing live guitar, and I'm absolutely sure Sheila was hitting drums, but yeah, I've heard the tracks now, so yeah, yeah, it was. Which again, in Prince's, this is like that isn't a knock at all. It will. I'm sure it was to do with production problems, running multiple artists through something, and it was
Which,
just an immediate quick. You can hear tours of him nailing and his band nailing
oh
everything every
God,
single
like,
night, so it's not that at all. But one of the things he does when they're in Playing the Sunshine, there is a key change from A to E flat,
yeah.
and it's a ludicrous run, and he just plays it on the guitar, and it's
Yeah.
so there's he's like it just doubles up with the recorded sort of key and brass run in the background. And it's just like, oh my god, how did I don't imagine he will have like rehearsed that.
It's
It
just
probably just went
instinctual.
with it, and it just sounds so killer, utterly killer. And you can't mess about with stuff like that. If you don't nail it, it's going to sound dreadful. But amazing,
And
amazing.
and there's a million of these. Like, there's a million of these. There's a version of Dreamer that he did at Paisley Park with the Third Eye Girl that was put on SoundCloud. That he put on SoundCloud. He put a Paisley Park show on SoundCloud, and there's this really long, like, I think it's like 10 or 11, 15 minute version of Dreamer where he's just like him and
Yeah.
Donna are riffing off each other, and it goes into this like kind of space rock thing, and it's just, mm, oh, oh, like, and I mean, I could go on and on and on with these things, like, and
Mm.
this is just the live stuff. Like, we're not even talking about on record,
Mhm.
join repetition, you know, question of you on
Oh
record.
yeah, join
Yeah,
repetition.
exactly,
Yeah, yeah.
exactly.
So what are your favourite things that he's committed to record then, from a guitar point of view?
Ooh, possibly Get Off,
That's a
because
nice choice.
it's efficient. Because
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
it's efficient, and it does what it does. It takes a hip hop track or a New Jack Swing track, turns it into nasty rock for a couple of seconds, and then leaves it, like with a just with the riff, and then with that solo, you can hear it better on the 10 minute, damn near 10 minute mix. You
Hmm.
can hear like what he's actually doing. It's not so buried in like clean production, but it's like that. It's that bit where it goes like like how he ends it, and it's just it's hit it and quit it, and it doesn't need to be a major feature. It doesn't need to bring
Hmm.
the house down. He just uses it in such a tasteful way that it gave my feet and backside something to groove to and dance to as the dancer thing, but it gave my head and heart something to soar to with that dirty guitar. So I would say
Mm.
Get Off is a really underappreciated, because of course how could it be put in the canon of Prince's great solos?
And
It's
as a riff, it's a groove riff, and it's
oh,
a beautiful,
yeah,
beautiful little sort of
yeah.
double stop pedal riff. Just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Um,
Another one is Plectrum Electrum, because you've seen that video of them actually recording it, and that it is just a band in the studio.
yeah, yeah,
Like, and the guitars on that are mm, gorgeous. The actual track
yeah.
Plectrum Electrum, but there's thousands. Cyber Single as well has some nasty, nasty guitars on it.
Mm-hmm.
The guitar solo from Dove's Cry as well. I mean, like, it's across the board, start to
Yeah.
finish. What I mean,
Well, for me, the thing that I think one of the standouts for a young black musician at the end of the 70s, at the beginning of the 80s, who's in control of what he's doing because
yeah.
he's so good, committing Bambi
Ooh,
to an album in and amongst, like, I feel for yous on that, and so on and so
yeah.
forth, and I want to be your lover, but essentially it's like a heavier side of rock track, is that? And it's like, how brave was that? How completely brave was that? I mean, don't get me wrong. He went 10 more shades brave on Dirty Mind holistically, but for that artist who is so young, and there would be an expectation of what people would expect to hear from him, and
Yeah,
he's in control, so it blows that fucking expectation right out of
yeah.
the water. And he does something like Bambi, and I'm just like, oh my god,
Mm,
that just blows
oh
me
yeah.
away. It's such a powerful track and a powerful part of the album, which fits doesn't fit. It's just it's the beginnings of the genius by a mile. That's what it's about.
And in equal measure, in a period where he's doing like heavy, heavy, nasty funk and angry guitars live, and you've got things like Shy and Count the Days, where he
Yeah.
just puts in that beautiful, delicate, fluttery. He does this beautiful kind of feathery, fluttery guitar really well as well.
Mhm.
So, like, I mean, it's not just nasty, dirt-driven guitar
Oh, do you know
solos that.
what? Obviously, Prince sound checks are a thing in the same way as Prince after shows are a thing. But
Yes.
the footage that we got on the 1989 Prince, was it musical portrait,
Of him
with
doing.
Randy Newman. He's not selling records like Def
Yeah.
Leppard, and all that kind of shit. And but there's I can't even remember specifically what it was. This is so
Is this the
embarrassing.
ladder?
It's like there's always so many people who know so much more about Prince than you do, and I admit I'm not. I know what I know, and I'm passionate about what I'm passionate about. So the stuff I miss, I apologize. And if you sat there going, well, that's absolutely fine. But I can't remember what he was playing. But there's a part where he stood up playing the Orange Cloud, Peach Cloud. Should I say Orange Cloud? The Peach Cloud. And I'm like, can't we just have all that footage? Because we all know where the damn stuff is now, don't we? But it's like, oh, I'd love to see extended footage of those sound checks from the Love Sexy tour that were being filmed for that. Because
Did you?
the stuff on it was beautiful, and the the Camden after show and stuff like that. I mean, it's just beautiful.
Well, did you see the little clip that they put out of him drumming this week from that
Yes.
after show. Like,
Yes.
it's just like, so we know that there's a ton of footage from that soundtrack. It's like that needs to be out there, and you just need to. That might be the very first release of a sound check. Like, just release the sound check.
I mean, are we talking Love Sexy Super Deluxe edition? That'd be a
Mm.
nice place to put it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I don't know.
And a whole lot more.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, there's so much that.
Unison run. Unison run. That
Yeah.
which the guitar and or bass are predominant.
Yeah.
Alphabet Street, the turnaround.
Yeah. Well,
I mean,
ugh.
just what? What? Amazing. Just amazing, man. Who does shit like that?
Prince.
Yeah.
I mean, and that bit in Live for Love where it's like dun 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 dun, and then
Yes.
he goes off on the solo again, and it's just like
Yeah.
he's great at
You know,
bringing it together and pulling it apart. It's oh
it
god,
makes
it's
me
so good.
think when you I was one of those Prince again, I got into him in '88. Yes, I got all the obvious stuff, the stuff that still remains probably close to my heart. You know,
Yeah,
my favorite set of albums are gonna be Purple Rain Around the World in the Day, Parade, Sign of the Times, or Sexy. It's those really. Although I've got a lot closer as I've matured and indeed known yourself and known Lee
yeah,
and so on a bit more. And the Super Deluxe edition of Diamonds and Pearls got me a lot closer to that album as well. But yeah, I had this thing where, it felt like he was not quite as good and struggling a bit. Which again, in hindsight, when you've travelled the years and gone the whole journey, you look back at well, not everybody obviously, but me as like this '80s initially. I look back now at the '90s and I'm like, God damn it, why didn't I appreciate it more at the time? Because it was so damned good.
yeah,
But you mentioned Get Off,
yeah.
and it would have been the guitar perspective probably that initially sort of magnetized me to it a bit. But when that came out it was the first single, wasn't it, from Diamonds and
Uh,
Pearls?
yes,
Yeah. When that came out as the single to represent the album, and I was like, I was like, oh my god, that kind of sounds like the idea of Prince I have in my head. My favorite bit of
yeah,
Prince. So that was a bit of an anchor song to sort of not pull me back into Prince. I've never gone off him, but I
yeah,
tend to listen to the '80s stuff still rather than
yeah, yeah,
the beginning of the '90s, I suppose. And it felt like it just sort of eased off a bit. But yeah, the I guess what I'm saying basically is yes, Get Off was particularly good, and it's an excellent guitar track, and it meant something quite specific to me in that context. Yeah,
I think one of the reasons you can't appreciate it at the time is because sometimes you do need a like when you've been hit with like a sledgehammer, you need to which Prince's career around that time is like a sledgehammer of greatness.
yeah,
Sometimes you need sometimes you're blinded by the stars you're still absorbed around your head before you realize where you are. And I think the 90s suffered a little bit from that this guy had ramped up such a huge kind of peak of and a body of work within 10 years and going and even if you extend up to like Batman, is this that do you know what sometimes people just need time to recalibrate. And if you think about it in the terms of like, so he starts a couple of years.
sorry, I've got to jump.
Oh,
I've got to jump in.
okay,
So
go on.
we were talking about committed to record. The Batman guitar, Bat Dance guitar solo.
Oh,
It's evil. It's dirty.
ooh,
It's nasty. It's the precursor to that
it rips.
cloud sound in
Yeah,
'93. Oh my god, that is
it
just
tears the air.
phenomenal. I'm sorry I interrupted there, but I had to
No,
get out.
please, please, no, never apologize
Just,
if you're showing appreciation for the Batman guitar solo because
oh, we can
it
agree then.
deserves it. Because this is a man whose career can go. We can talk for hours and not mention that moment of fucking brilliance.
Yeah,
Pardon
yeah,
my
it's true,
language.
it's true, it's true.
But like it like that solo tears the air. It is so good. The other guitar solo that I was thinking of because you had me thinking 80s and 90s and top albums. One of the top albums that is in my top 5 that is a kind of an outlier is News, and the guitar work on that is pretty stunning.
Yeah, I have listened to News a few times. I think I ought to give it
L-
some
n-
reruns a few times a week. I
yeah,
need to get closer to it. Yeah.
North, like the guitar solo on North is again is just very tasteful and does what it needs to do. East is there's some nasty bits
Ah.
of unison, and there's some nasty bits of unison as well. As an album news, he kills the guitar on that. It's really good. So I mean, we could go on for hours and hours and
Ooh.
hours about. Or go on. You can.
There's another. I think there's another little fork in the road we should take and mention are some of his guitarists as well,
Yeah,
um, because it's a very interesting bunch of people. And
Des Dickerson.
you see, for me, Des is the one who I think he learned a lot from, and I could
Mm,
hear Des. Des is the only guitarist he's had that I can hear Des in his playing when he's doing quite specific
yeah,
things. But I can hear Des when you listen to like bootlegs of the era and stuff, particularly like
yeah.
the 1999 tour. That sort of rock edge that Des gave.
Mm,
And he was quite a versatile player as well. I like the fact that he could be funky but with distortion a lot. So when
yeah.
I listen to Prince doing those kind of things later in his career, I hear Des. Yeah, I couldn't sort of say, I don't hear like with great deal of respect to like say, I don't know, Wendy, Miko, Levi. I don't hear their guitar playing in Prince, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I can. They hit him once he's established the sound. Yeah, I can.
It's a bit of an obvious
I
thing to say because obviously he was younger and Des was
I can,
a
I
bit
can
more
hear
seasoned.
like I can hear Lisa in his piano playing, but not so
Oh, for
much Wendy in
sure.
his guitar.
Oh
Yeah,
God.
but not so much.
Yeah.
I can hear them more in his. I because I think some people might mistake saying that you can't hear Wendy in his guitar playing means that she didn't have an influence, or any of these people didn't have an influence,
I
and they
think they had
absolutely
brought,
did.
yeah, Wendy and,
Yeah,
let me be absolutely clear. Ooh,
yeah.
again, subjective. I would make the statement that the best stuff he ever wrote was with and because of Wendy and Lisa to a large
Okay,
degree.
all right.
I very strongly feel that.
I think they wrote some career highlights and great, great stuff. And yeah, I think he was better for knowing them. I think he was better for working with them.
We got to have
I
that.
think that's unquestionable.
Yeah, we've got
Yeah.
to have that 80s slash not verses. It's
No,
not
no,
about
no.
verse, but we have talked about the
I mean,
80s and 90s discussion and sort of get into it because we're quite finely balanced in our
yeah,
group in that sense.
yeah.
But no, from a guitar point of view, and Wendy was quite special. She was again, I hate, oh god, I hate even saying things like black and white, but the context, the contextual thing from the time.
I know what you mean.
I loved hearing a really young white female guitarist playing a flavor of funk guitar,
Yeah,
and I kind of worship how she plays because I don't think of myself as a funk guitarist. It's not where I come from necessarily, but I enjoy doing it. But
yeah.
I look at Wendy and she's kind of like a bit of an inspiration for me in that sense.
Well, all you have to do is listen to her on "Possessed" on the Syracuse show.
Oh,
Yeah, like
yeah.
for
Um,
me, like we even mentioned earlier on, like Levi, the sexy MF solo is Levi.
Levi
Yeah,
just feels like the consummate, consummate
I love,
professional multi instrumentalist.
and Strolling as
Because
well.
I
Like
was like a guy who could go from pulling that when they do "Now's the Time" and he does the bass run, and
oh,
the next tour he's playing guitar because he's Levi.
yeah, yeah.
It's like bloody hell, come on. And Miko's an interesting one because I feel he's one that doesn't get the respect. Nah, not in a not the Prince
No,
community love Prince's musicians to varying degrees and have absorbed more of them.
I have a
Obviously,
theory why.
yeah, but I really like Miko. Some of his playing. Again, I think about some of the stuff he does on Now's the Time. The stuff that he's playing on Gonna Be a Beautiful Night. If I could play more like any of Prince's guitarists, it would probably be Miko.
Which is weird because my personal theory is the reason he doesn't get so much like outside of the thingy is that he plays so much like Prince in his like
That's interesting. I hadn't thought
as
of that.
as in his in his rhythm playing anyway, like his rhythm, that hard funk rhythm. I think he was already. I mean, whether he's influenced by Prince or not, he plays like Prince, and I think that's why he was around for as long as he was and was kind of essential part of that band is because and why he like switched from Sheila's band to the Revolution and why he had to have him on is like think about it. The next show, Miko comes along and then suddenly Prince isn't playing guitar for a tour. You know,
That's fair comment. Yeah,
you know,
yeah, I hadn't thought of it
because
that way, but
he's
yeah.
like, I don't have to. I've got Miko now,
Mm,
and
mm,
Miko can play like me. And that's no shade on Miko saying he's a copycat or anything. I think Miko's got his own style and everything.
mm.
That now's the time really. And those improvisations, those love sexy improvisations at after shows and stuff, like you can really hear it in the Sign of Times tours
Mm, mm.
and Love Sexy tour improvises. And also that version of Do Me Baby from the new tour, like he's soloing
Yes.
on that. So
Yeah.
he's got his own sound, but he could play like Prince, or as the closest to Prince that I've ever heard any of Prince's side guys play. I think Mike Scott is an underrated one as well, just because he was not he was
Very.
around in some underrated tours.
Yeah. You see flashes of absolute technical sledgehammer from Mike Scott from time to
Yeah,
time when he'd let loose a little bit. Yeah, no, Mike
yeah.
Scott was, but like I said, I haven't absorbed enough, and he's rarely made prominent in a sense. Yeah.
I think kind of like Cat Dyson as well, who didn't get to feature as much, but was like
Mm.
was using like MIDI guitars as well, like those Godin MIDI guitars. So
I
was
can remember the
triggering in samples and stuff other
yeah.
than the guitar as well. So
Yeah.
and it's just a period where Prince's live career isn't people aren't don't go on about that new power soul stuff with as much respect as it deserves. Donna Grantis for the Third Eye Girl. I loved it. I mean, I know some people didn't. Her solo stuff is great.
Yeah. Strange one for me, considering I was gonna say considering my leanings towards the guitar side of things, but to be honest, over recent years, I'd say I've evened out into it's not all about the guitar stuff for me anymore. So
Yeah.
it was weird that I suppose Donna and Third Eye Girl happened, and I was not as didn't like it. I mean, there's some really good tracks, but I didn't. I don't know. It didn't pull me in quite as much. Donna, I don't know. I just didn't click with what I heard from Donna as much.
Okay.
Obviously, I
You
mean,
don't have
don't
to.
get me wrong, brilliant guitar player, but I don't know what it was.
I'll have to send you some moments that
Yeah, sure.
I would say their version of She's Always in My Hair is just like where she's doing like
Well,
tasteful
yeah,
licks and the breakdowns and stuff like
yeah,
that is really
the versions of when I get past feeling slightly annoyed at slow versions of Let's Go Crazy, when we got onto like versions of Endorphin Machine and stuff, oh god, they kick ass from that era.
yeah.
I don't think otherwise.
Screwdriver and
And
date.
and yeah, quite a few tracks off that album from the that they've released at the time as well.
Mm.
Yeah, some really good stuff. Really good stuff.
See, I'm surprised you don't like that slow version of Let's Go Crazy. Oh,
Oh
is
no,
it
no.
just you? I loved it. I really loved it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah, no, I get it.
He has every right to do what he wants with his songs, and people have every right to love it. It just didn't do it for me. Yeah.
Also, I can understand like the point of view of just kind of like I've done this in so many different ways. How else am I going to keep I this song that I've been playing for 40 years. How else am I going to get through it tonight?
Hey, fair point. No, fair
Yeah,
point.
I get it.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
know, and he definitely felt that. I mean, I'm guessing he flipped back and forth between like, yeah, this one's going to get the crowd going, and oh no, not this one again. So
Oh, I'll tell you what. I've just thought of one more, which is actually outside of the '80s and outside of the '90s, from
yeah,
2006. His solo on Ti Amo Corazon on the Brits. Was it
ooh,
2006?
2006.
Yeah, it was,
Yes,
wasn't it? I mean that. Okay, so as I mentioned before, Chopin and myself have been talking about doing the podcast about TV appearances. The more we've talked about enlisted stuff, there might have to be a 70s and 80s version and a 90s version, and then a post millennium version because there's so much
yeah,
stuff and so
well,
much meat to get into and joy to talk about. But that particular performance was incredibly special for me, being a Purple Rain guy, I suppose, with Wendy and Lisa on it,
yeah,
and just how that as a live performance was put together was just like perfection. Too new, too old. The way that he medleyized it, the
yeah.
peaks and troughs of it was just phenomenal. But the thing that really stuck out for me was the solo that it did on Ti Amo Corazon. absolutely beautiful,
Yeah.
just beautiful. So I do have some sort of later in his career spots, and also Fury on Saturday Night Live. That
Oh
was
yeah.
ace, and he was messing around with a few different effects as well for that with his orange Strat, I believe it was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and the Alma Awards where he does the word and he does that solo on the word.
Yes, yeah, no, that was
Yeah,
sweet as
so it's
well.
just like killer, killer.
Yeah, yeah.
And Redhead Stepchild on that Good Morning show tears the breakfast show a new one. Like just tears them a new one. And so I would say like so we learned guitar, we learned through this guy, this is how much love we have for him. So having gone through the journey of us both learning how to play an instrument through this guy, how has learning that instrument affected you going forward? Because for me, it's been a really profound journey of learning.
Oh man, I s it's not
I'm
hard.
struggling to put it into
Yeah, it's
words.
not hard. It's not hard to answer in a sense. Let's say it's articulating it. I was not a musical person in any way, and again, there's various ways of being part of music. You don't have to be an academic musician. You can just be a player. You can just be a listener
Yeah.
of music. Makes you a musical person.
Hmm.
But it sort of completely defined me. It completely defines me because the most God, in many ways, the most important thing that happened in my life that wasn't something that was to do with my family was asking my dad on a whim to record Purple Rain, because that made me do something I'd shown no aptitude, interest, and any evidence that I was going to put any effort into doing, which was play guitar. And obviously, Prince has a rather large impact on my
Yeah.
life. My dad passed away in '93 when I was just before I was 21, and I here I go, and
Go on.
I was never particularly good at anything. Like my dad was quite athletic, and when he was younger, and he did all these like certain things. And my dad actually played a tiny bit of guitar. He played a bit like flamenco and stuff. And there was a guitar in the house. It was the first guitar I picked up and started learning chords before my mum had given in, and I had sort of saved up for weeks. Was this sort of cheap and nasty nylon acoustic classical guitar. And I had the Mel Bay book from the
Yeah.
50s, and I learned the open chords on that. But I sort of, I never felt, I never felt I had any real identity. I was just this relatively sort of meek, quiet kid who I wasn't particularly good at anything. I was average at school. I remember, I wasn't very sort of daring. I wasn't like the equivalent of an American jock. I was just dead ordinary and average.
Yeah.
The only thing that really identified me, I was sort of a bit of a sci-fi nerd. I read a lot, and so on and so forth. So up until the point, and I like listening to a little bit of music here and there, a quite a diverse mixture of stuff that I got sort of through my dad and stuff that was around me when I was growing up, but nothing, not to the nth degree or anything. But I watched Let's Go Crazy, rewound it, watched it again, rewound it, watched it again, rewound it. I didn't watch Purple Rain all the way through straight away, and I just kept going around this, and so I saved up. My mum gave in and got me that guitar, and I went on this. It's one of those weird things. Looking back, I can remember when I was struggling to make a G chord. I can
Yeah.
vividly remember it,
Oh, that was hard.
and I can't remember the journey to get to being able to say, and then I learned the first song I learned to play was "Look What the Cat Dragged In" by Poison. Very, very simple power chords, really, really easy solo. And then I remember, and I used to have all my stuff set up in our front room, and it was a thin wall between mine and the next door neighbor. The next door neighbor was a really nice young couple, And I remember I'd been playing Sweet Child of Mine, and I'd worked my way through and moved from Poison to like Guns N' Roses, and that had, you know, more technical. You had to have a bit
Yeah.
more skill and work at it and work at it and work at it. And I remember I saw the guy from next door walk past my window, and I thought, oh shit, I hope I haven't
Yeah.
pissed him off. And I went, and he said, and he came and knocked the door. His name was Andres, lovely, lovely guy. And he said, I just wanted to tell you, I've been listening to you playing. And he said, you're really nailing that. It sounds really good. I said, I just wanted to let you know. I'm like,
Ah,
oh, fuck, man.
nice.
So this is building too. On September the 15th of whatever year it was, I failed all my A levels because I've been learning to
Yeah.
play guitar. I categorically failed my A levels because I started playing guitar, and I started playing guitar in the middle of the first year of my A levels. Got kind of past my mocks, but I absolutely spectacularly failed my A levels, and that was on the 15th. It had been a Thursday. I got my results, I think. On the 17th, I had my first ever gig, which was basically Poison, Guns N' Roses covers and stuff. And it was for a scout thing at the top of this hill in a lean-to. But a friend of my dad's, whose kids were also at the scout thing, my dad used to do like radio amateur
Yeah.
stuff with them. He brought this proper PA, so we all got mic'd up and did this gig. And a few days later, we'd had a little tiny bit of work done at a little bit of a wall at the front of the house, and I was earwigging a conversation that my dad, who kind of wasn't that much longer for the world, sadly, at that point, but he was having this conversation with this builder, and it was about me, and he said, "Oh, it was something to the effect of, he failed all his A levels, and we were kind of a bit worried, but he did this gig." And he said, sort of listen to him, he's learned to play a bit, and he's not bad. And my dad sort of said, and I was kind of, me and his mum were a bit worried because it just flunked all his A
Yeah.
levels. But yeah, there's some, he's discovered something else. And I'm not as worried now because there's something that he's got some passion for.
Oh,
And I'm so glad I heard that because I say he wasn't around for much longer after that. And he
yeah.
never, I
Oh,
wished I
dude.
fucking had seen me do some Prince stuff and some Sister stuff. But it always stuck with me. So again, in the context of this podcast,
Yeah.
so the fact that those few years before I'd asked him to tape it and he'd remembered, right? I mean,
Yeah.
if he'd have never done it, who knows? So I started playing guitar, fail all my A levels. I went to do music technology later on in life at Polytechnic in Huddersfield.
Yeah.
Realized very quickly that I didn't want to be a sound engineer, but
Yeah.
I got into computers through that. So my passion and my work in life basically came from the fact that my
Yeah.
dad recorded Purple Rain for me one night, and that's literally it. So what does playing mean to me? Fucking everything, because it's all I am. It's what
Yeah.
I do. It's why I'm, it's why I
And
go to work. You obviously go to work to live, but it's the passion version of why I go to work. It's my outlet, and I just simply love playing, and I love playing Prince stuff. What you know, it's amazing. It's lovely,
oh,
and you can connect. You connect with people a certain way, and I absolutely know like tribute
yeah.
bands, cover bands, are not for everybody. I understand. I don't
Look,
particularly like going to watch them. Weirdly enough, which I know
yeah,
how
I
that
have.
sounds, but but there's something. The one thing I always hope when people watch us play, I hope they watch us and they see the joy.
Mm,
I
yeah.
think for the most part we exude joy when we're playing it and
Yeah.
when we're doing it. Essentially, we're a bunch of friends and people that have collided in life who do it, and it's always been
Yeah.
that way to a large degree. So yeah. So what does playing mean to me? Everything,
Uh, thank you so
everything, man.
much for like I know this is just the two of us here talking, but thank you so much for that because I know that that's quite a like a you know it's interesting to for me it's a quite a profound thing as well. It's playing guitar was my way of working my way through the world, and it's beautiful to know that it becomes posthumously a nice connection. Well, not just a nice connection, a really profound and through line connection with your relationship with your dad that you carry on to this day. And and that and that these kind of fandoms are it's not just about appreciating music as a stagnant entity of like, oh, there's a beautiful performance there thing. It is life changing to be into an
Mm.
artist, to explore art, and to have a relationship with art, whether it be playing it, listen to it. You know, we all have these profound stories around why we love music so much. And thank you so much for sharing yours. I appreciate it. I
Oh,
really
cool, man.
do.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
really do. I would struggle to put into words in under 20 minutes, which is what I've got left before I go to work. I would struggle to put into words, only to say it is a monumental thing that has affected all my relationships, including the one with myself. So knowing something you're good at, it led me to make a recording and writing music myself, playing music myself, which is a way of expressing. And so it wasn't so it's about taking this joy and this inspiration and changing it within your, carrying it with you, with whether anybody else appreciates what we do. I think the people around you appreciate it because of the way that you're either a better person, nicer person, or can effectively communicate a lot better. I think just the experience of being really into an art form, whether it's through playing, whether we take it to playing like you and I do, or dancing, or just listening. I mean, it just goes into that big well of how important art is in general, but specifically, we're talking specifically how much that work that Prince did. There's a million of these stories.
Mhm.
There's a million of these stories. People picked up instruments. People did something. People started maybe being designing costumes. People just felt better about themselves or better about the world, and that's what this work does. So yeah, I think that's. I'm not entirely sure how to stop this, but this is a
Yeah.
place to leave it, I guess.
Cheers, man. And again, for those listening, this was a completely different approach for us. I think Lee had been going, look, do your guitar one, guys. Just go do it. Just talk about guitar. So we just decided to do it. And I hope that the slightly more informal, not that we're massively formal on the main ones, but yeah,
Yeah, we're
it's very
sticklers for
much of a
detail.
it's very much a chat, and I've really enjoyed it actually. Yeah,
Yeah,
really, really
thank
nice,
you.
man.
Well, there you have it, guys. We could do one for bass players, keyboardists, dancers, everyone. You know what this guy means. And thank you for letting us talk about what he means as well. Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks very much.
I'm going to go off and cry.
Oh, bless. Good night.
Good night.